Hey everybody, nighttime edition with my mobile office. We have a guest today, my very first subscriber. So we just got done watching Star Wars The Last Jedi?
Yes, we did.
Yes. And what's the cinema snob's name? Brad
Jones.
Brad Jones, if you ever end up watching this, I'm so sorry for ripping off your bit, but I gotta do an Ambi-Rant like right when it's in my brain. And I love your stuff anyway, so. And he introduced me. That's all. So we saw The Last Jedi, and I was like, oh, I need to be more topical, so here's your Ambi-Rant for that. What the crap is wrong with people that they don't know how to stand in a line? Crap you learn in, like, kindergarten. That's a skill. That's a life skill. That prevents, like, mobs, fights breaking out.
Yeah, we're buying tickets, and once you buy your ticket, you get into the line to get into the theater, but then people are forming another line separately, and there's only one ticket taker, so there's two lines converging. And getting into the theater, there was a line to get in, but people are on the other side of the hall to get in, and that caused issues.
Yeah, like, I get the one outside because there was a big old pillar in the way. But when there is no visual obstructions,
Yeah.
kind of like kindergarten people. And then the theater with no line management. As a venue, you need to have line management. But I'm very stuck up about those things.
That's fine. We still got good seats.
We did. We
good.
did. There was no riots. Nobody got trampled. It's the day after Christmas, not Thanksgiving.
Then we just had that guy walking by us in the line going, "Oh, Star Wars, that movie sucked. That was just a..."
He was like, get ready to be disappointed. So we will do our best not to provide any spoilers in the beginning of the rant. And if we do need to go into spoilers, we will disclaim that. So
Right.
It might be a long video.
Right. I'm going to do my best not to either way, but I might dip into it.
I know.
Just saying.
I know. So, did you like it? And we haven't talked about it at all.
Yes, purposely, she would not let me talk about it.
Aside from porgs are cute. Deal with it. Did you like it?
I did.
Did it give you any tingles? In your chonies?
It didn't hit the same reactions as episode 7 did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fine. I liked it for what it was. I liked, again, without getting into spoilers, overall I liked it. I do have some gripes about some stupid things, but I guess we'll get into that
Like
in a
every
bit.
movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, some things that were a little bit of a letdown, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I was fine with it. But
I liked it. I am not a movie buff. I will barely be taking a class for film appreciation next semester. Jason is super movie buffish. He's really good at looking at themes and trends, and he won't admit it, but it's the truth. And I go to Star Wars for some big explosions and looking at galaxies and fight scenes and a little bit of the what is it, like the mushy stuff, the
emotions?
the emotional junk. I'm the average, not movie buff, moviegoer, and it tickled me. It was nice. So Jason told me that there was a group of people petitioning to have it not be in canon.
Right. I didn't look at what they were complaining about specifically, though, because I'm trying to stay away from spoilers before seeing it.
Right.
But there was already a petition, and I forget how many thousands, 45,000 or something like that, signatures already, and I'm just trying to stay away from all that.
I know that, like, the fans got Farscape back on the air back in the day, and that was awesome. Because they listened and they got him back, even though it was without Zan. But if you want to make a different Star Wars, make your own movie. It sounds like some whiny, like, I didn't like the movie stuff. Sorry for the baby voice. It comes out.
I can understand why they'd want it removed from canon, because there are fates of characters all around, but
Well, stuff happens, right? We know in the last movie that Han died.
Spoilers.
For 2 years ago. Deal with it. But people complaining about it's too different or it's too extreme. They'd be complaining and bitching if it was the exact same regurgitated stuff. And there was a couple of shots that were the same from the first series. And I cued in on it. It was like a miracle that I cued in on it. But it was nice because a whole new generation is watching this. It's for them. If you only love the first 3 and that's only the best, then go and watch the first 3 over and over and over, because the universe goes on, stuff has to change.
No, that's it exactly for me too. Is I have my original trilogy. I have the characters I grew up with. I have my connection to that. It's 40 years later, you cannot expect that same thing over and over. The same thing to continue. I mean,
That would be boring.
well, these movies, even if you got into the broad everything of Star Wars, is just like a flash in the pan of the history that goes on, and this is just one group, basically the biggest group, but one group in an entire galaxy and time frame that we're complaining if there's anything different, or if something potentially happens to a character you grew up with. Well, what do you think would have happened if you didn't have the movies? Things will happen anyways.
Right. And the character that passed in this movie, it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was.
Very much so.
I didn't feel screwed. I didn't feel resentful.
Nope.
I mean, angels didn't come down and like sprinkle dust or anything, and that's in my notes. What you mentioned is that there's other things in the universe. Just because we've seen 9 hours total from the first 3 films, if they don't exist, if we haven't been shown it in the first 3 films, it must not exist. That's the feeling I get from people. And if somebody's going to petition this, but not the movie with Jar Jar Binks, what the crap? There was no Jar Jar Binks level shenanigans in this movie, and it was nice.
I can understand why people are split. They want something, again, without knowing what people are complaining about.
Right. They
may want something bigger or something more dramatic, or maybe something, I don't know, everyone expects something darker.
Pretty dark.
Yeah. When we get into spoilers, I'll tell you what my issue was that they do. It may not even really be a spoiler, so warning, this may or may not be a spoiler. The movie spends its time setting up the 3rd film.
Yeah.
It's a setup of Empire Strikes Back. It is the rebels on the run. That's it. That's what the setup was for Empire. It's a setup for this one. Just rebels on the run. Knowing it's the middle child in a trilogy, it kind of has to sit in neutral. Certain things can't happen or can't progress because you're taking, here's established characters. Let's put them in place for the final film. But at the same time, this movie spent a lot of time...
Little tiny suspenseful pieces.
Well, it spent a lot of time undoing what episode 7 set up. All these mysteries, fans have said, what's the mystery behind these characters, or who's this, or what's the history behind this character? And this movie flat out addresses as nothing.
That's in my notes too.
Yeah,
but I can't talk about that yet without dropping names.
Right.
But yeah, the people with the petitions reminds me of Annie Wilkes from Misery. You gonna march into Disney and hold them hostage till they change it for you?
You killed Misery.
Yeah.
This will be edited out.
Blooper reel. So what I think is also going on with people's negative reaction is the romanticizing the past, cognitive romanticizing the bias that everything was better in the past. And I love the original 3's effects more, the sound effects. There's no CGI flipping around. And this one didn't make it too obvious like the episode 1, 2, and 3 did. But...
Well, that was almost all done on blue screen.
Yeah, it was junk. If you're only the originals are good, you're also probably in the crowd that are oh, the 50s were such a nice time. When they really weren't for a lot of people. Anyway, the idea that the past is all rosy and jolly and great. So I think that's getting a couple people some nostalgia berries. I didn't have to get up and pee halfway through. That's good, right? That's a TMI for the internet.
Neither did I.
All right. Equal disclosure. Anyway, so we're probably going to go into spoilers. So get the heck out of here. If you don't want any spoilers, followed by like subscribing. That would be really helpful. Main spoiler you want to get out there.
The main spoiler I want to get out is a very beloved character does die in this, and it's Admiral Akbar. I was shocked when they killed him, and it was just in passing. It's like, oh, and Akbar didn't make it. What?
You warming up to that?
I just thought it was funny. It's just randomly. It's like, oh, let's make sure we have Akbar back. Oh, make sure you see him. Oh, he didn't make it.
Well, they totally did the reunion thing. So here's the big spoiler list. Because we know our lovely Carrie Fisher has gone from our world.
Right.
So they kind of jettison her out into space. We think she's dead.
Yeah.
And
that was funny to me.
Right, and I was okay with that. I was like, Carrie's gone. She needs to let go. They killed off Han.
Yeah.
And then she used some force and got herself back in.
Which I found to be too goofy for me.
Too goofy for you?
I was not a fan of them bringing her back in like that.
I think it was okay because it makes sense that she would be nurturing her force over the years, is slowly building.
Well, yeah.
Especially since Luke was so powerful at that point.
Yeah, I get she's force sensitive. It was just kind of goofy how they did it, yeah. And it's just, I don't know what kind of Jedi you are to float in space for however long and just open up your eyes and float back in.
Well, the shock of an explosion and getting jettisoned might knock you for a loop. What was Stokes or Snopes? Or
Snoke?
Snoke?
The guy who looked like...
We thought he might be a tiny little thing.
Dressed like one of the Golden Girls.
Right? Severely underwhelming.
Yeah.
Severely underwhelming.
Yeah. Oh, who is Snoke? Nope, no answer. Nothing. Just
right, how did he get there? Especially in between the Emperor and Vader.
I'm sure there's probably some books or comics like, oh, you need to read these to get the backstory. I'm a big fan of a movie should stand on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be like, oh, how did this happen? We'll read the book. The movie should stand on its own. The book should just add little extra things to the background stuff, kind of like they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
But no, in some cases they want you to read the books or read the comics to get the backstory on something. But they don't, in this, explain a lot of the mystery from the previous film. All the questions. Who is Snoke? Who is Rey's parents? I mean, they may still address these in the next film, but at this point, it was all just thrown out the window, and I kind of liked it was thrown out the window, but all that build-up from the previous film is all thrown out the window.
All the mystery for Snoke is gone.
Yeah.
Underwhelming. Disfigured, by the dark side, but not disfigured like Grievous was, or Vader, or I don't know why it feels like Palpatine's disfigurement was even better than his. And it was refreshing though that Kylo made short work of him.
Yes.
There was none of that. It's really set Kylo up to be a better villain.
Yeah, the way they played that, because you're going back and forth. Will he be redeemed? Will he not? And everything.
But it could go either way.
Yeah, but everything he does to be redeemed actually plays into the he's not turning back. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of it plays into that, and maybe it's his own stubbornness he's supposed to have, but it looks like things are playing into redemption, but really they're not. And I actually really like that part of it.
Even though that's the formula over 3 movies. And 6 for Vader. But what else was it?
I'm just going to throw this one out there. There was one setting I was a little disappointed in, and that was the casino. Because the casino was too
pretty?
Too not Star Wars like. I get that there's
It wasn't gritty. It wasn't nitty gritty.
Well, it's not just not nitty gritty, but even their alien world representation and making things look like another world or another place was really lacking. Like it almost looked like, oh, here's a futuristic James Bond casino. Like it didn't fully go Star Wars with it.
Well, and it's so funny because people, I know people are complaining about the porgs because people like to complain about things that are cute.
Right, because of marketing. It's like, oh, that's going to sell.
But, I mean, the porgs, they don't play a huge part in the story, so just let them be cute little eye candies.
Yeah.
like, get over it, deal with it.
Yeah.
But there were some other creatures in the film, and that was really nice to see more of the fauna from various worlds. I thought that towards the end it was getting a little cheesy with their visual effects. Not the CGI, but the end battle on the salt mine. So in the preview you'll see like this big white Hoth looking planet and these skimmers kicking up this red whatever underneath, and it's
the
salt.
old speeders.
The old speeders. And it's beautiful.
It is.
But then every time somebody goes into battle, you know, they're just using it to look like fresh blood.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous, but it was a little too much, even for my brain to be picking up on. I was not surprised that Luke was not dead after the barrage and the battery. And I would not have been surprised if he was dead. You know?
They did something pretty funny with that one, because when he showed up, it's like, oh, they took the time to have him cut his hair and darken his beard and get the gray out, trim everything up, just to be, oh, it's his projection of him when he was
A little bit younger.
when him and Kylo had their falling out.
Which makes sense after the fact. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, you know, a little bit guessable at the end. Guessable with Kylo and Rey's main fight.
A really neat shot, and I should have found it kind of cheesy, but I'm really glad they did it. Is Luke's final shot in the film is facing the setting two suns, which is a harken back to New Hope, where you had the two suns, and whether you feel it's like, okay, this is representing, it's not just beautiful scene, beautiful music by John Williams. You can read into it many ways. Like, say, if you read into it, here's the two potential paths you could take are the suns and things like that.
See, that's him doing his movie buff stuff.
Yeah. But in this one, they brought it back to that, and it's now those two suns, whatever future he had, setting. Like, I really enjoyed the fact that they brought that memorable scene back full circle.
That is too intelligent for me. But I liked that when he was looking into the sunset, he had a look of ecstasy on his face. And I don't mean sexual ecstasy, grow up people. I mean like that feeling you feel in the pit of your stomach and all the way up through your throat, and it makes your ears shiver a little bit. And that was kind of really nice to see.
I'd love to see it in the next film if he comes back as a Force ghost, and instead of appearing to Rey or anything, he just appears to Kylo Ren the whole time. And every time Kylo tries to do something, it's like, eh.
He did tell him. He did pull the, if you strike me down,
I will be with you forever.
Right? Which, you know, he saw his mentor do. Which I think is completely appropriate, because we carry our inside jokes around with us till the day we die. So some people might be complaining on cheese factor, but I'm like, that's appropriate.
That's fine.
And there was sass. There wasn't too much humor. They weren't trying too hard on the one-liners. Okay, back from edit. So, it's self-aware. And I might like edit more of that out because my brain is not working because it's like 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
I gotta work tomorrow. The Force Ghost you mentioned, he's totally gonna be back as a Force Ghost because Yoda was in the original movies, Obi-Wan, all of that. Totally gonna be a Force Ghost. And Yoda popped up in this one. And I could hear people in the back of my head going, let it go. But
well, that's kind of
Yoda
funny.
does what he wants.
It's kind of funny when you say people are going, let it go. Because that's kind of this weird, thing that a lot of fans don't want to let go of the original.
Yeah.
Let go of the old stuff. But that's actually part of the plot, is letting go of anything old, outdated, things that happened in the past. Let it go. Let go of the old characters. Let go of all that. That's
Turns
part
out
of the plot.
It's not Kylo Ren under the mask. It's Elsa.
Yeah.
Don't hate me. But yeah, so like the Force Ghost running around. That's fine.
It's Empire. The main fleet is trying to escape the First Order. Mm-hmm. That's what they're called, right?
The First Order, I think so.
They're trying to escape the First Order while your lead Jedi in training goes off to train with a master. And then old ghosts even pop up in the middle of the training to say, was I, that kind of like,
But
was
it
I any
wasn't-
different? It's like, you need to do this.
It wasn't all sleek and nice like last time. They threw a couple wrenches in and that was good. It was just different enough.
Really do think Mark Hamill probably did the strongest performance out of all of them.
I could agree with that.
Honestly, I think his was the best rounded character. And it's kind of like, when you watch the previous one, Harrison Ford's actually acting his ass off. It's like, oh, this is it. We're going to say goodbye to this character. Make sure you make it count. I think Mark Hamill really did the same thing, and he did it. He showed up a lot of people in this.
Well, and I like that there's so many more characters that they put some effort into. There's kind of a Lando copycat,
Yeah.
the traitor.
So you even have the traitor from
you're
Empire.
still trying to figure out who's going to be Han and who's going to be all these other things, because
Although when
there's
Finn,
more than one person who could do that, and that is important. It lets us grow with the characters and not have it be just the regurgitated stuff over and over and over.
well, it's funny you say that, because when they finally get him his first outfit and he's unfrozen, it's very similar to the setup of the Han Solo trademark outfit. And he's even doing that slight swagger to it, and it's like, oh, okay, so he's officially going to be the Han Solo.
But you don't know if Poe's in there or not doing that. You
Right.
know. So,
Poe can be Wedge.
Biggs and Wedge on an airship. So, I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
Very much so. I'm hungry.
All right. We got some babies at home to hug?
We do.
Fur babies. Mini fur babies. Kind of bitey fur babies sometimes. So, go hug some babies. Go watch some movies. Let your imagination run wild. It's good for your psyche. Bye.